Hey y'all, Emily, Ink and Aspiration, and I've got another video for you. Yay! Today I thought it would be kind of cool to go over some books that might be of interest if you are a music fan. And these are five of my top picks in that category. I'm a huge music fan. I'm a huge Elvis fan, a huge fan of early rock and roll, so some of that is going to reflect in this video. But these are some books that I just really like. I've read a couple of times now. One I've read, I think maybe I'm up to 4 times. Maybe that last time was just mostly referencing back. And then once you go find something that you need answering, and then you start kind of rereading the whole thing. That's what happened. But all right, so first book. I don't know if you are familiar with the band Big Star. If you're not, there is a really cool documentary on them. Came out like in 2013 maybe. Netflix had it out. I don't know if it's still there anymore, but I know Prime has it. I've seen it like at least 15 times. I just love it. I'm from West Tennessee, a place called Jackson, which we'll talk about a little bit later down this list. But Memphis is right about an hour west of Jackson, and there was a band called Big Star, which really didn't get a lot of success when they were active, which was only just a couple of years. But they were huge influences on a ton of other bands, REM one of them. But their founding member and lead singer was Chris Bell, and this is There Was a Light by Rich Topeka, and or Topeka, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, Rich, if that's not how you pronounce it. But this book is all about Chris Bell. And what I really like about it is that, well, one, you've got tons of cool pictures in here. Some of the people that are basically, it's basically like an interview style with people that Chris knew, old bandmates, old friends, schoolmates, people in the music industry that knew him. And this also goes along with the recording studio in Memphis, Ardent Studio. That's where they made all their records, and it's so good. He's such an interesting person. I mean, okay, if you're familiar with the TV show That 70s Show, the theme song, In the Streets, of course, that was a cover by Cheap Trick, but that's Chris Bell. He wrote and sang on the original that was on their debut album, Big Star #1 record. That's what it was called. So great album, by the way. So also check those out. Some music suggestions. Big Star #1 record. So there's 3 of them, and the second one they basically broke up after the first album. You'll understand. Watch the documentary. Read this book. It's so interesting. But it never really played live anywhere as the original 4 members. But Chris Bell was just such a great songwriter. He wanted, a lot of times he would write some of the songs by himself, but he was such a Beatles fan that the other lead singer, Alex Chilton, which you may recognize that name, was the lead singer as basically a child, 14, 16 years old, for the Box Tops. Give Me a Ticket for an Aeroplane. Yeah, that was him. Not really that big of an Alex Chilton fan. I feel like you're either an Alex or a Chris fan, and I'm definitely a Chris fan. This is more of the music that I like, and so as I was saying, there was only 3 albums, and so the first one is my favorite. The second one has a little bit of Chris's influence on it because they were still recording a little bit, and so some of the songs are on there, but it's more of an Alex project. And then definitely the third one, which I don't really enjoy at all. I just don't like Alex Chilton's music. I didn't like his attitude, but it is what it is. Chris Bell There Was a Light, super, super cool book. Like I said, it's more of like just sit down and conversation with each person. It's written like that. There's an Elvis book that I also really like that's done that way. And so it's just conversations coming from the people that knew him. And it's in chronological order of his life, kind of a tragic life too. So, but not to give too many things away, if you're a music fan, watch the documentary, but also check this book out because this goes so much more in depth into Chris's life and his artistry. So there you go. All right, moving along. Okay, so I said I was going to bring up Jackson, Tennessee again, and that is because we've got Go Cat Go by Carl Perkins. This is Carl Perkins' story, man. Blue Suede Shoes, what? A ton of other hits, though, right? He even wrote one for Patsy Cline. But, I mean, one of the founders of rock and roll music, which first started out as rockabilly. And Carl is definitely somebody, who was doing that before Elvis. So he was, starting to do a lot of that sound around Jackson, Tennessee, where I was born and raised. And, our claim to fame was Carl Perkins and Casey Jones, trains. But this book is so neat. I did a ton of research on this. That's why everything's marked. On my other YouTube channel that I do a lot of music stuff with, there was a story about a car wreck that happened on some streets in downtown Jackson. And there was a lot of different rumors about like where it happened, when it happened, all this stuff. And also one of the music venues that he played in and possibly wrote a lot of his hit songs, including Blue Suede Shoes. But there was a lot of different stories on what happened and where it happened. And so I was doing some research on that and found out. Because these are Carl's own words, his own memories. And so if you need to find some facts, go to the source. If you are a fan of history, music history, you've got to get this one. It's a little hard to find. They didn't do any more prints of it after the first run. And so I had to get this off of eBay. But, it wasn't hard to find and it wasn't very expensive. I think I paid like less than $20 for this, like with shipping. Super, super cool. Just crazy also. Like Carl started out with his two brothers and one of them is Clayton, a little nuts. There's some unfortunate things that happen. You get to know, kind of the downfall of when you've got a hit song, like such a hit song as Blue Suede Shoes was, before there was like really anything like protecting the songwriters and the publishing. But yeah, super great book. I read it a couple of times and I even did, some videos for it. Maybe I'll link those in the description if you have any interest in that. But anyways, Go Cat Go, Go Cat Go, Carl Perkins. Excellent choice. All right, so keeping in theme with Carl Perkins, we've got Sam Phillips, the man who invented rock and roll. Now, I know that term gets thrown around a lot with Sam. Did he actually invent it? Well, no. I mean, he wasn't even an artist. However, he might have been the first person to actually record it, bottle it up, package it, market it, and put it out to everybody's radio waves. Sam Phillips is definitely the guy who did that. What's really cool about this is it talks about how and why he wanted to get into the business. He wanted people to hear these songs. I mean, he first recorded Howlin' Wolf. He's got Ike Turner here, one of the first, if not the first, I think it's kind of considered the first song of rock and roll that was recorded was Rocket 88. And that was definitely with Ike Turner and his band. And just a lot of the issues, personal issues that Sam went through kind of shows, his character, because now we kind of, see videos and he's kind of like this crazy, wild-eyed guy talking about music, but you kind of understand a little bit more about that in this. There's some good mentions of Elvis in here, of course, Carl, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Million Dollar Quartet, and his partner, or not really business partner, but I would say more than a secretary, was Marion Keisker, and she was actually the one who recorded Elvis first. She was also an engineer there, and it's just really cool, really good history on how rock and roll became and how it really, Memphis was the perfect place for that to happen. Just super cool. A lot of information on Sam. There's some mental health things that go on in here. Just a really well rounded book. And Peter Guralnick, he has done some really great Elvis books as well. And so he's Last Train to Memphis and then Careless Love. That's like a two-parter Elvis biography, but super, super good. The audiobook is also really good too. So, Sam Phillips, the man who invented rock and roll. All right, so this next one, get a little water here. All right, so this next one is one of my favorites, as far as it not just being, somebody's recollection of when they knew a celebrity. This is something that's a little bit more in depth into a medical history. A lot of research went into this, and it just will give you a different perspective of this artist in a way that has not really been talked about. And so that is Destined to Die Young, Elvis Presley. This is by Sally Hodel. Sally is a journalist from Michigan, and she's also an Elvis fan. This book, I have so many like highlights and stuff in this book. The reason that this book is so good is because, if you're familiar with Elvis at all, you always hear about his addiction to prescribed medication. And this book really goes into the why. Why was he addicted to those? Why did he develop a dependency on those pills, uppers, downers, everything in between? It's got a lot to do with things that never get mentioned, chronic pain. And Sally really, really researches deep on this one because she, comes up with genetic disease that was in the Presley family tree, and that really a lot of dots are connected to why he became so dependent on these certain pills. And right here it says that he suffered from disease in 9 of the 11 bodily systems, including 5 that were present from birth. It goes real deep into Elvis's family tree, and that lineage, and a little bit of kind of little weird things that had been speculated before. But it's and it's not a creepy book. It's not that. This is a really, really good book for an Elvis fan, music history fan, and then just if you are interested in medical things that go on with well-known people, and just understanding the why. I always like to know the why about things, and if you're going to write a book, you might as well do a little bit of research and tell me the why. This book is the entire why. And I thought I knew a lot of things about Elvis. I've read probably upwards of 40 to 50 books on Elvis, and some are pretty gross. And it's just, I'm like, you met Elvis at a party, so you decided to write a book on him because you know him. Nah, but this is, it's like you grow a lot more empathy for Elvis. And you know, some people want to portray him as just a straight up drug addict, which I don't think so. I don't think he wanted to take a lot of the medicine that he did. Of course, you know, once you feel good on something that's keeping your pain away, whatever that pain is, physically, mentally, you know, this just chronic pain, of course your body is going to develop some sort of dependency on that, but at least we have a better understanding on what that pain was. And I just really think that Sally Hodel did a fantastic job with this. I will probably do a more in-depth review of this book on my Elvis channel, Beyond Graceland. So if you're interested in that, once that is completed, I will put a link in this description. So keep checking back on that if you are interested, or just subscribe to that channel. All right, so last one here is a little bit of a sentimental one, and I'll tell you why. That is because my grandfather is in this one. He's quoted in this one. Not while he was alive. It was just a recollection of a story that happened. But he was in radio and worked for WSM, and that's what this book is all about. This is Air Castle of the South. It's a story of WSM and the making of Music City. Now, if you're not familiar with what WSM is, it stands for We Shield Millions, and it was originally a life insurance company. But they got into the radio business and used those letters as the, what do you call letters of radio. And it was an easy way to get into the homes and sell people life insurance, because WSM also broadcasted the Grand Ole Opry. And so when a We Shield Millions life insurance agent showed up at your door, they said, "Oh, but we're with the Opry." Well, by God, in the 1940s and 50s, you was let into the house and probably sold some life insurance, because everybody loved the Grand Ole Opry, especially back in those days. And WSM is still thriving in Nashville today and broadcasting the Opry still. This is such a cool book. It's just the story of how it all became, and then you've got little nice pictures. There's Minnie Pearl, and of course you'll find on page, I believe it's 175. Let's see. Yep, my grandfather, Tom Hansard, is in here. It's a little story about a joke that was pulled on one of the engineers who was setting up the mics, and my grandfather was an announcer for WSM. He was also a producer for the Grand Ole Opry, but he would do radio shows and some TV shows for WSM, and they were pulling a prank on him with his microphone, and would set up something, because a microphone is also a speaker if you wire it that way, but it can also be used as a speaker, and a speaker as a microphone. And so they would set up and make some noises to come back through it, and he couldn't figure out what the noises were, but the story's all there on page 175. So that's why I really like this. And plus, I'm just like really into music history, especially when things were like super influential, super important to the music industry. Even though radio is kind of its own thing, I'll argue with you on that. I still think that radio is in the marketing business. It's to market product. It's not to market songs, but it kind of gets a little bit abused on that. Anyways, that's a totally different subject, and I will probably now have to do a video on that on my music or on my Patreon account. Also, if you're really into music, I have a Patreon account. It's called Sonic Philosophy, And I do a lot of membership stuff on that one. I have courses and templates on mixing and mastering in your home studio. And then I also have a podcast on there where I talk about subjects just for members. But yeah, I think I'll probably do that. If you're interested, I'll go ahead and leave a link for that as well in the description. But yeah, Air Castle of the South, super cool book if you're into radio, music history, just learning where everything came from as far as maybe the Grand Ole Opry. There's a lot of talk about that in here because the Grand Ole Opry kind of fueled WSM at that point, and so it's just really cool to like hear all those stories about how things came about. So those are my 5. If you can see them here, I'll give you another look at them. Maybe I'll add a picture to this or something so that you can take a good screenshot if you are interested in checking these out. And yeah, so thanks for sticking with me. I always seem to talk way too long on these things, but I don't know. I love books and I love music. I mean, music and history, was my first love. But anyways, thanks so much for hanging out with me, I guess. And I like making these, so I guess I'll continue. I'll continue till they aren't fun anymore. But all right. Thanks, friend. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for checking out these books with me. And I will see you all in the next one. Okay, bye.